my schoolgirl braids. Back to school. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. First and foremost, I want to welcome all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for the love, for the support. Thank you for joining the family. I want to say welcome back to my returning subscribers, and I want to say thank you guys for your support, for sharing my videos and my posts, especially the previous one. I really appreciate it. Today, as promised, I'm coming with episode 4 of the Touching Base on Natural Hair series, and I'm excited to bring this topic because I feel like this topic can really help us to save some money when it comes to products, and to understand why your hair has been behaving a certain way with a certain product. Maybe you don't understand, it works for somebody else so well, but it doesn't work for you. Well, today I'll be telling you why it doesn't work for you. I really want some engagement on this post, on this video as well. So please just let me know if anything resonates with you. Comment down below if anything really hit home for you, and let me know what your porosity is, if you've been able to find out your porosity. Another thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be linking a quiz to hair porosity down below in the comment section. In the description box, so that you can take that hair quiz and find out your hair porosity on top of the other tests that I've also spoken about. Okay, so first and foremost, let's begin with what porosity is. So porosity is basically any surface's ability to allow it to be permeated or penetrated by outside influences or molecules or other substances, and so your hair's porosity. So when we talk about hair porosity in particular, we are talking about your hair's ability to absorb moisture from products, from water, and so we're talking about its ability to absorb that moisture and to retain it, which is the most important thing. We want to retain moisture for as long as possible. So your hair porosity is actually affected by your outside hair cuticle. So imagine that my hand here is your hair, one of your hair strands. So your hair porosity is affected by the outside layer of your hair cuticle. So if this is highly raised, then that means that your hair is able to let moisture in very quickly, but it also means that it's able to let it out very quickly. So you need a way to make sure that the moisture doesn't escape. If you are low porosity, it means that your hair cuticle and your hair shaft is laid flat, and this means that it's having trouble to absorb the moisture, absorb the products. But the good thing is, once you do your hair allows the moisture to come in and to penetrate, it means that it's not easily escapable, which is actually what you want. So basically, I want you guys to really observe how your hair behaves when, for example, you wash your hair, and when you step out the shower after you've washed your hair. Does it dry quickly? Does it take a long time to dry? Even when you're still under the shower, does it take a long time to get wet? Does it get wet very easily? Those are ways that you can see how your hair actually absorbs moisture. Obviously, if it takes a long time to dry when you step out the shower, it means that it's not letting that water out once the water got in, which means that you're low porosity. And if you are somebody who it takes a long time to get wet when you're still under the shower and you have to really struggle to get it wet, then it means that you are also low porosity, because it's not really letting that moisture into your hair. Something else that you can observe with your hair is when you put creams in, is there a white film that just sits on your hair, or does your hair gobble it all up because it was thirsty? It just drinks it all up, and you can tell that your hair has absorbed the moisturizer, so the cream or the liquid leave-in or the rich leave-in. Does your hair behave well with lighter products or does it behave better with richer, more creamy products? So these are all things that are basically going to give you a tip as to where on the scale of porosity your hair is. Is it more low porosity? Is it medium? Or is it low? Or is it high? Sorry. So basically I'm going to get into the different types of porosities and let you know what types of products you should be using for your type of porosity. Number 1, high porosity. So basically somebody with high porosity hair, of course, as discussed before, is somebody with cuticles that are raised. Now, you can either be born genetically with your porosity as it is, or your high porosity because you're somebody who has actually irritated your outer cuticle, your outer layer, by using too many chemical products. You are using too much heat on your hair. You are over manipulating your hair. This can actually irritate your hair shaft to the point where it starts raising like this, especially if you're somebody who straightens your hair a lot, you blow dry your hair a lot. You can irritate your cuticle to raise up like this. And so that's why your hair is dry so much, because the moisture is just leaving your hair shaft. So like I said, you can either be born with this kind of porosity, or it's because of how you've been treating your hair in the past. Another thing with high porosity people is, or to check your porosity, is when you relaxed your hair, when you used to relax your hair, was it easily straight? So were you the person that had to sit with like 20 minutes of hair relaxer so that your hair can be straight, or was it like fine in like 15 minutes? Was it straight in 15 minutes? Because that means that your hair easily absorbed that chemical product, and so that's why your hair was straight up quicker. I know for me, it took me like 30 minutes sometimes to sit in with a relaxer when I used to relax my hair, and even after I wash it off, it wasn't always super straight, which means my hair is quite stubborn, and so it didn't really absorb that chemical treatment all the way in. So if you're somebody who is high porosity, now you understand that your hair lets products in very easily. And again, it can either be you are genetically like this, so when you were younger your hair was always just more receptive to like dyes, like dyeing your hair. It was a quick process for you, or like relaxer, like your hair went like straight to straight in like no time. So you can either be just genetically like that, or it's because you have been over manipulating your hair with heat and chemical treatments that you've made your hair high porosity. Now I'm going to give you solutions to high porosity hair. You are somebody who needs your heavier products, so you need rich, creamy leave-ins, creams, and then you seal all of that with a nice oil. You can use avocado oil, you can use castor oil, which is a more heavier oil. So you definitely need to be more sort of consistent in terms of moisturizing your hair. Maybe you might have to moisturize your hair more times in the week than somebody with low porosity hair. So hair porosity number 2, that is going to be low porosity. So if you are somebody who has low porosity, you're somebody who really struggles to get moisture into their hair, maybe you can notice that if you put products on your hair, sometimes they just seem to sit on your hair and they're not actually absorbing and they're not actually going into your hair. If you are low porosity and you struggle like this but your hair is dry, this could mean that you need to add more moisturizing conditioner, like deep conditioners, so that it can penetrate your hair, and you can open up your hair shaft using heat. So not in terms of blow drying or straightening, please, but when you put in your deep conditioner, what you can do to open up your hair shaft so that the deep conditioner goes in is to use heat caps, or like you can put Glad wrap around your hair and cover it up with a beanie and another plastic cap. Just make sure that when you have your deep conditioner in, you can even sit under a hooded dryer if you can afford to get a hooded dryer. You can do that so that your hair shaft opens up while you're deep conditioning, so that the deep conditioner goes well into your hair shaft. So you are somebody who actually really needs to use lighter things. So use a liquid based leave-in instead of like a too rich of a creamy one, because again, your hair might struggle and it might just end up leaving, like you might just have products sitting on top of your hair. And you are so prone to product buildup as well, which then if you have too much product buildup, it means that whatever product you try to put again, it's not going to work, because it's just going to sit on top of the other products that you've been using for your hair. So you're somebody who doesn't really need to apply moisturizer or moisturize your hair too often in the week. Maybe you can do it on wash day and then once again during the week, so you can apply maybe a cream after you have spritzed your hair with either your fenugreek or any other spritz that you use. But you don't need to keep applying moisture onto your hair, because it's really just going to sit on top of your hair and not really penetrate through. So you're definitely somebody who needs to look out for lighter things. So lighter oils like jojoba oil, and is it jojoba or jojoba? Guys, I don't know, but Jojoba. So that oil, it's actually it resembles our natural hair oil that our scalp produces. So you can use something like that, which is light. You can use grapeseed oil, which is light. And so those are the type of oils that you should really be going for, because they're not going to be too heavy and they're not just going to sit on your hair and really do nothing for your hair. So if you're somebody with medium porosity hair, this means that you have no problem with how your hair absorbs moisture, and also your hair stays moisturized for a while. It doesn't, you're not really affected that much by your hair's ability to penetrate absorption and to absorb oils and to not. So you're somebody who just needs a good balance. So just retain a good balance. So for example, make sure that you are, doing 1 week protein treatments, the other week moisture treatments. So rotate with your treatments. Make sure that you can use a rich leave-in, but make sure that you use a light oil. Or if you're going to use a light leave-in, then make sure that you use a rich oil so that it can keep that moisture in. So if you, I'm going to talk about protein and moisture treatments for the different types of porosity. If you're somebody with high porosity, protein treatments could really help you to sort of lay down that cuticle, because protein kind of sits on your hair shaft and it kind of like just protects it. So you, somebody who has if you have high porosity, you can actually really benefit from using protein treatments more than somebody with low porosity. If you are low porosity, then protein treatments are literally just going to do exactly that. They're just going to sit on your hair and make it even more difficult for products to penetrate. So you need to probably add more moisturizing deep conditioning into your hair, and protein treatment every once in a while. So that's what you will be needing to do if you have low porosity hair. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to speak about is knowing the strands of your hair. So remember when I said check if your hair is high density, low density, that just shows you how much hairs you have on your head. Another important thing though to really look at besides density doesn't really affect that much in terms of, it just might affect how much product you use, because you got so many hair strands. But when you come to your individual hair strand, if it's coarse or if it's fine, I do want to add that if you have more finer strands, then it will be to your benefit to use rich creamy things. Now if you are fine and you are low porosity, I do recommend that you still use things that are moisturizing and are light, but for example, you can find a balance like olive oil instead of castor oil. That's if your strands are fine. If your strands are coarse, then stick with the lighter things like jojoba oil and grapeseed oil. If you're somebody who has high porosity and you have thick strands, then you're somebody that's going to need to also use a balance of like things that are not too heavy, but at the same time it needs to be sealing enough to not let the moisture out. So also you're somebody that can use something like avocado oil, olive oil, but maybe something like a castor oil might weigh your strands down. So just also be cautious of that. What kind of strands do you have? And if you have really thick coarse strands, then of course you don't want your hair to be weighed down, but just make sure that for your porosity you're still able to seal properly. All right, so again, if you're low porosity, you want lighter things, and if you're high porosity, you want more rich, creamier things. All right, and if you're medium porosity, of course, then you have a balance. You just need to make sure that you are retaining that balance, because you're very likely to be like slap bam in the middle. So I hope that this has been helpful. Please let me know if you need any clarification. Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know if this helped you. Yeah, I'd really like some engagement in this video. Also, thank you so much for watching till this point. I hope that this really has helped you, and make sure that you subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Hopefully that'll be next week, and let me know any questions that you have. That might be a video suggestion for next week. I already have what I want to talk about, but of course, if there is a need for me to answer something else, then I can do that. So thank you so much again for watching my channel. I appreciate your support. I will see you guys next week. Mwah.